Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to give you my predictions on the 2014 Academy Awards. I've carefully considered these predictions as much as you can carefully consider things that won't mean anything in about a week. I've looked at all the other people who are predicting things and kind of thought about it, and it was a little weird that I didn't get to see Ebert's predictions this year. I almost went to his site to look for them, just because I'm so used to doing it every year. The only categories I'm not doing are the short films, just because I really can't see most of them and don't know anything about them, and I'm just kind of picking blindly. I'm probably picking blindly for all the other categories, but at least with those I know some history of the categories and I followed the award season and such, and the short films don't really carry over as much, so I'm just skipping those. I wish they put them online, which is something I say every year, but I'll leave that alone. Anyway, I've decided to actually put this in the order that they usually do them at the actual Academy Awards to kind of replicate the experience, because of course right here and me sitting here right now obviously is quite like what Ellen DeGeneres will do on the Oscars this Sunday. The first category is Best Supporting Actor, and this is pretty much a lock category for Jared Leto. There's pretty much no chance he will not win for Dallas Buyers Club. Best Animated Feature Film, I think it'll definitely be Frozen. For a while I thought it would be The Wind Rises, and I was fairly confident it would, and then Frozen hit, and I don't think anyone saw that coming. And I think The Wind Rises is too controversial for some people, and the reviews for it coming out are still good, but it just feels like too much of a difficult film. I kind of would like The Wind Rises to win personally, although I love Frozen, but you know, I really think it's honestly between those two. Ernest and Celestine will thankfully get a lot of promotion for this, and The Cruise and Despicable Me 2 I think have enough promotion, so they're fine and they don't really need to win, and I don't think should. Then you have Best Cinematography. Will most likely go to Emmanuel Lubezki for Gravity. The only other person I think this could go to, and I bring this up every year since he's nominated every year, which is Roger Deakins. If someone else was going to win, I think it would be him, just because he's been passed up so many times. Granted, it's for Prisoners, which personally I didn't like and hasn't been given much Oscar love, but I could see them going for it just because he is getting older. He doesn't seem to be working with the Coen brothers and Sam Mendes as much. I would also like it if Bruno Del Bano won. Best Visual Effects will most likely be Gravity. Probably a lot of these technical categories will be Gravity, frankly. I think Gravity will actually end up winning the most Oscars overall this year. Best Costume Design, I think this is really between two movies, The Great Gatsby and American Hustle, and I think The Great Gatsby has the edge. Best Makeup and Hairstyling, which normally wouldn't be a category I would care that much about, but it only has 3 nominees, one of which is The Lone Ranger, which I don't think will win at all. Then you have 2 other ones, which are both actually kind of interesting. First, which I find the most interesting, is Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa, which I kind of want to win just because it's hilarious. I don't know, just talking about it makes me laugh. But I think it would be really cool if Jackass Bad Grandpa actually won, and you could make a case that a lot of those people actually thought he was really a grandpa when he's Johnny Knoxville, and he convincingly played that to real people who didn't know, who weren't acting, and so that does convey that they had incredible makeup. Now, Dallas Buyers Club, the interesting thing is, recently I read an article just today that the makeup budget was only $250, and they made Jared Leto look so convincingly as, you know, an AIDS victim, and that obviously takes a very creative makeup artist. But I think it will actually be Dallas Buyers Club, and especially since that's coming out, I'm sure that's been at junkets that they spent only $250, and obviously they spent more on Bad Grandpa, but I'd like Bad Grandpa to win. Best Documentary, I actually think this will probably be The Act of Killing. I know a lot of people are saying 20 Feet from Stardom, and I actually think The Square could get it also, because it's had a recent push and it's been on Netflix and making it very available for people to watch. This one's a little more up in the air, but I think The Act of Killing has been so praised for so long, and even though 20 Feet from Stardom is more of the audience-friendly film, I actually think The Act of Killing will win, just because the documentary branch gets so much shit year after year after year for not picking the documentary that goes down in history as the great documentary, like they did with Hoop Dreams and several other documentaries, that I think they will want to give it to The Act of Killing while Josh Oppenheimer is younger, and so when he goes on to make several other great documentaries, they're not sitting around looking silly and giving an award for like a lesser work or something like that. So I actually think Actor Killing has a better shot than a lot of people do. Best foreign film, I've actually seen no films in this category, unfortunately. But I'm fairly certain that it's going to be The Great Beauty, since that has pretty much won everything. Every time there's a Best Foreign Film category, it always wins. So I think it will be The Great Beauty. Best Sound Mixing, I think will go to Gravity, and Best Sound Editing, I think will go to Gravity. It is time for Best Supporting Actress. Now, Best Supporting Actress is really down to 2 nominees. That I completely forget about Julia Roberts and June Squibb and Sally Hawkins. I don't think any of them have a shot, really. This really comes down to Lupita Nyong'o and Jennifer Lawrence, and I think Lupita Nyong'o has the edge. That seems to be what everyone's going with. But Jennifer Lawrence, you know, she won the BAFTA. She has a lot of hype behind her. She's at the point where you go, she's Jennifer Lawrence, and people are going to expect her to win. I know she did win for last year. She had an amazing Oscar moment last year. That's kind of helping her and hurting her. She hasn't probably done as much Oscar campaigning as Lupita Nyong'o has, but I kind of think Lupita Nyong'o's performance was more raw, it was more risky, it was more daring. It's the kind of performance that people like to give Oscars for, and Jennifer Lawrence's performance, I think, in a much weaker year, like if you didn't have Lupita Nyong'o, I actually think she could have just taken this. So in a world where 12 Years a Slave doesn't exist, I think Jennifer Lawrence could get another Oscar, but I'm fairly confident that it's going to be Lupita Nyong'o. Best Editing, I think this is going to be Alfonso Cuarón and Mark Sanger. I think they will win just because it has so few cuts. You don't even notice the cuts in it when I saw it. Best Production Design, The Great Gatsby is probably the odds-on favorite, but I want to point out 2 other nominees. One, Gravity, which I think also has a chance at winning this. Also, and Her. It did a pretty convincing job to make its own kind of weird version of the future. A lot of that had to do with some great production design. So I think it's really between those 3, but I think when you see a Baz Luhrmann film, you're mainly talking about the production design. That's mainly what you're wowed by when you see it, not so much the story or the direction. So The Great Gatsby will probably win. Best Original Song, I think this will probably go to Let It Go from Frozen. It would be nice if the Moon Song from Her won. I don't want U2 to win. I don't like that song, and it's like not a great song, and it's like and I don't want to hear like Bono give a pretentious speech. So Best Original Score, I'm kind of surprised how weak the group of nominees are, because I actually thought the score for 12 Years a Slave was quite good, and there's a lot of good scores this year, but there are not many great nominees in here. I mean, John Williams gets a nomination just for existing for The Book Thief, which doesn't have a chance in hell of winning. It'll probably be Stephen Price for Gravity, which I liked how minimalist that score was, kind of an unconventional score. Best Adapted Screenplay, I think this is one that 12 Years a Slave just has on lock. Maybe Wolf of Wall Street, just because of Terrence Winter, who is the showrunner on Boardwalk Empire, and people who like him will probably want to reward him to a certain degree. Or possibly Philomena, which would mean Steve Coogan would get an Oscar. But I think it's going to be John Ridley with 12 Years a Slave. And usually the film that wins Best Picture wins at least one of the screenplay Oscars, because you can't win 2 of them. Best Original Screenplay, I'm going to say American Hustle. I think the American Hustle Oscar is kind of there because David O. Russell has made 3 films back-to-back who have all been huge Oscar-nominated films. And I think that definitely has helped him a lot with his name and his prestige, but he's never won an Oscar for any of them. Other people, whether it's Christian Bale or Jennifer Lawrence or Melissa Leo, those people walk away with the Oscars. He doesn't. And I think that might actually help him. The thing that might hurt it is when I walked away from that film, I'm like, wow, that was a lot of fun, but some of that plot didn't make a lot of sense. So that might hurt it, but I think it's really between American Hustle and Her. Her's won a lot of screenplay awards during award season, and also because it's a very original film. Spike Jonze, Her really meant something to a lot of people who normally wouldn't really even like a Spike Jonze movie. So I think he transcended a lot of that. Best Director, I think, will go to Alfonso Cuarón for Gravity. I don't see it going to anyone else. Steve McQueen would be the first Black director to win Best Director if he does win, but I think most of the talk when it comes to director, and he won the DGA award and he's won every director award, is Alfonso Cuarón. He's done all the kind of Oscar campaigning and everything like that. And I really haven't heard much about Steve McQueen since 12 Years a Slave came out, which is kind of hurting him more than helping him. So Alfonso Cuarón's really been everywhere. He's constantly be doing, there's always a new good interview with Alfonso Cuarón that's informative and interesting to read, and he has a lot of respect. And Gravity was really like kind of a director auteur film. Not that 12 Years a Slave wasn't. I think Gravity might be a little showier. Well, 12 Years a Slave is also, but anyway, I just think it's going to be Alfonso Cuarón. Best Actress will probably be Cate Blanchett. Now, obviously, the Woody Allen controversy has happened. The Oscars have never really penalized Woody Allen in terms of the sexual abuse controversy. They've always nominated him. They've never shied away from him, especially when he has a big kind of awardsy film. And so I think Cate Blanchett will kind of come out of this unscathed and be able to win Best Actress. If she doesn't, it's really between her and Amy Adams. I would totally discount Judi Dench and Meryl Streep. I don't think they have a chance. Sandra Bullock maybe, but I think Sandra Bullock's chances, because Gravity's looked at more as a technical feat, but I think it's really between Cate Blanchett and Amy Adams. So if Cate Blanchett doesn't win, I would probably say it'd be Amy Adams, but I'm pretty confident Cate Blanchett will win Best Actor. And I think Best Actor will almost undoubtedly be Matthew McConaughey. He has had a comeback in recent years. He wasn't nominated for Magic Mike, so that gives another reason for people to vote for him. And he's really become a fine actor, and he has a great show that's been on this entire time that started pretty much right after the nominations were announced, which is True Detective. And with all of that going on, there's just too much heat on him, I think, for him not to win. I was thinking about the Best Actor category, and it's much like what happened in the year that Schindler's List was nominated in Philadelphia, and Tom Hanks won over Liam Neeson for playing Oscar Schindler. And I think it's very similar, because in both cases, in Chiwetel Ejiofor's performance and Liam Neeson's performance, they're so much part of the story. They're almost a storyteller with it, but they kind of become almost so synonymous with it, it's not as showy in a way. And I think Best Actor, you really have to be showy. You know, you can't just do a great kind of performance that's kind of wrapped up in the picture. Although it's also wrapped up in the picture, but I would say McConaughey maybe is a lot more showy and has that star power about it. And when you win Best Actor and there's a real star presence to the role they're playing, I think the Academy has universally, ever since the Academy's been around, has loved to have that person win. DiCaprio has a bit of a chance. I actually think DiCaprio might have the edge over even Chiwetel Ejiofor and might even win, but I actually it's possible. Bruce Dern and Christian Bale, you should just forget about it. But I think it's going to be Matthew McConaughey. It's his time, it's his year. Now it is time for Best Picture. Best Picture, I think, will be 12 Years a Slave, which will be the director Best Picture split, which has been happening a lot more frequently than it used to. Gravity, I think, is kind of the runner-up, and since there was that split at the PGA Awards, it's possible Gravity could win as well, and especially with so many other awards possibly going to Gravity, or at least I think will go to Gravity. It's possible Gravity could win, but I really think it'll be 12 Years a Slave. Now, that's what I think the Oscars will be. I actually kind of hope I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong, then I will be surprised and it'll be a lot more fun to watch. But, I think I'm probably mostly right. I hope to see you all with my Oscar video, which will probably come out either Monday morning or sometime during the day on Monday, when I will tell you what I thought of the actual winners of the Oscars, not just my crazy predictions. And I hope you have a good time. I will be wearing a tux for that, and I hope you get to see all the movies, and you have a good Oscar viewing experience. Comment below and tell me what your Oscar predictions are, what you thought of my predictions, or subscribe if you would like to and you haven't already. And thank you for watching, and I hope to see you after the Academy Awards for my Oscar reaction video.